I'm on a mission to redesign every tree in vanilla Minecraft. And last time you asked for palm trees, so here it is. Alright, now before we get into this spawn egg, I want to give you a little background on why I found this comment so intriguing. Now beaches were added into Minecraft in 2009, about the same time I started playing. And since then, they've had no advancements other than turtles added in 2017. 8 years later, and since then, nothing. Until now, because with this spawn egg, you instantly get a palm tree with a custom seed and random generation. Please hire me, Mojang. Anyways, before we get into how all of this works, I'm going to show you how you can get this in your world using the structure in the description below. Now to get these command blocks in your world, you're first going to need a structure block, which you can get using this command. Once you have a structure block, you can place it pretty much anywhere in your world, and you'll get this box. This is showing you where the structure is going to be. Now you're going to come into the structure, you're going to change it from save down to load. You're going to click import and find the file on your computer. Once you have the file selected, the load button will light up. You can click it and it will bring you these command blocks into your world. Once you have everything loaded in, you'll find the spawn egg that you need in this chest, and then you can flip the lever and everything will be ready. And while you're in the description, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because at 1,000 subscribers, I'm doing a FICO credit score reveal like you guys have been asking for months. And you wouldn't want to miss that. Now let's move on to how I created this palm tree spawn egg. And the first step to creating this was brainstorming. You'll see here a few examples of what I built when I was trying to get an idea for what the palm tree should look like. Now I used some inspiration photos that I found on Google, and I basically got it down to a slightly bigger base, a little bit of a curve, and then this area at the top, which kinda is just different. I don't know what it is, I'm not a botanist. Once I had the general shape down, I wanted to experiment with a couple different wood types, and I was really hoping this stripped oak wood would look nice, but it just didn't make the final cut. In the end, I ended up going with this mangrove tree. I think the color was the best match, and it works well with these jungle logs up at the top to give that little thingy. The next and most tricky part of the palm tree was figuring out the leaves. As you see here, I had a lot of different ideas for how the leaves could work, some looking like a tree from Dr. Seuss, other ones kind of just lacked character like this one. In the end, I went with a leaf shape similar to this arrow looking one, with this being where the top of the tree was, and it comes off and then it will droop down at the end right here. This leaf is probably the best example of that, as it comes out and then it droops off here at the end. As I went forward, I realized that bigger palm trees were going to need bigger leaves, which led to me making them a little bit longer and then coming out, where it starts slim, comes out to the end, and then tapers off. Now we're going to jump into the explanation, and to do that I've hopped into a new super flat world and I've brought in our structure here. Starting off with this row of command blocks in the middle, these are the startup command blocks, and you'll know them if you've seen any of my previous creations. Pretty much all they're doing is setting up some scoreboards, some game rules, and some ticking areas so that it'll just work when you import it into your world. And you'll see here, once you have your creation turned on, they're automatically going to delete themselves so that they don't accidentally go a second time. Now moving on to this first row of command blocks up at the top, these are just testing for this spawn egg, and then some scoreboard commands to give it a random seed. So you'll see if we spawn an armor stand, it'll place one block low, one block high, and this is determining which way it's going to be bending. Now with this creation, there's going to be 3 scoreboard objectives that we use to determine the random seed. The first one is the height. This is simply just determining the height of the palm tree. There's 4 different heights. The second is a direction scoreboard. This is determining which way the palm tree is going to lean. And the final is just a random scoreboard. This is pretty much what we're going to use anytime we want a random number, which is happening quite often. And also included in this row of command blocks is this one, static armor stand. This is just teleporting the armor stand to itself. That way the armor stands won't fall and we have time to work with them. Now we're going to move on to this row of command blocks on the left. This row of command blocks is responsible for adding all these random blocks around the base to give it a little bit of shape at the base. So you'll see with that command block powered, now when we place our spawn egg, we'll get these original 2 pillars, but then we're also going to get some random blocks around that. And we'll do it a few times. Oh, you'll see this one is much taller, so the pillars are much taller, but then you still get the occasional blocks around. Sometimes you get more, sometimes you get less. It's all just using that random variable we talked about. So I've broken out the wool to explain this. Assuming you place the spawn egg on the lime green wool and it is facing the direction that the 2 pillars go on the dark green wool, then every spot there is yellow wool, there's a 50% chance that another piece of wood could spawn there at the base. Now moving on to that next row of command blocks on the right, these are responsible for building the trunk of our tree. So I'm going to place the spawn egg again. And now you'll see this is the tallest tree seed that we have, as it got this 4 tall on one side, 2 tall on the other. We have the base like we had, but it comes up, it tilts one way, and it creates the basic shape of the palm tree. I spawned in a few more for you to see here. You see this one is very similar to that one. This one's facing the other direction and it's a little bit shorter, you can see at the base here, and this one is the shortest variant. And that's all those command blocks do. It's pretty simple, but it's very important. Now we're gonna move on to this really long string of command blocks on the right. And like always, even though it's the longest string of command blocks, there's a very simple answer for why. So with it turned on, I'm gonna place down the spawn egg and you'll see what we get. All it did is it teleported the armor stand from the bottom up to the top. It placed this jungle wood around to make that top thingy, and then it placed a few leaves on top. And the last thing it did is it spawned a bunch of armor stands. So you'll see if I break them, there's so many, that's how long it took. Now the number of armor stands is determined by the height. You'll see here, this is a pretty tall tree, but it's not the tallest. And when we look at all the command blocks, this portion is responsible for teleporting the armor stand and creating that jungle wood on top. And then all of these are responsible for summoning an armor stand. They all do it one at a time. Now this might not be the most efficient way to summon a bunch of armor stands, but I don't really know a better way. So if you do, please let me know. Now we're gonna move on to these command blocks on the left side. This row of command blocks is responsible for taking all these armor stands that we've spawned, and then it's going to give them a random value and assign them each to make a random branch. Now with it turned on, we're gonna go ahead and spawn a palm tree over here. And there you go. It happens pretty quickly, but it take all those armor stands, it's gonna set them to a pretty random direction, up and down or all around. And everywhere there's an armor stand, it's gonna create a leaf facing the way the armor stand is facing. And so you'll see some stay right here in the top, some come down way low, and these ones are gonna shoot out this way, others are gonna shoot out this way and that way, and we'll get a good spread of leaves. Now this final row of command blocks is responsible for creating the leaves from those random armor stands. Now with it turned on, I'm gonna spawn the final palm tree egg, and it should work right. There you go, a full palm tree. It's got the random base, it's got a random direction, it's got some random leaves, some coming up, some coming down, and overall, I think it's pretty good. And you can see here the leaf shape that we were talking about earlier, where it comes out, splits like an arrow, and then drops to a point. And that's the same shape that all of these leaves are making. And then when it all comes together, it seems to make a pretty good palm tree. Now to show you guys what a difference these palm trees can make to your builds, I've created a little beach hut here. And while I like to think I'm a pretty good builder, it's pretty lame. And with just a few palm trees, look at this. I think these palm trees ended up coming out great. They add a fun tropical feel to your builds and really bring an update to beaches that has been long overdue. Now they do have the occasional quirk, but that just happens when you're using random generation. Even Mojang can't find ways around this sometimes. Overall, I think the palm trees was a great suggestion, and remember to leave a comment for which tree you want to see me redesign next. Now I had a lot of fun making this for you guys, and as always, if you want to try it for yourself, then go check out the structure in the description below or on my planet Minecraft. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, and if you want to see more like this, then consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Turn down for what? Where's the FOV?